Coming up, we went to a celebration of Harry Potter 2017, and boy, did we celebrate. Live from the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 115 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your host with the most, Craig Williams, and today I am joined alongside my Potter puppet pal, Ryno.
My friends actually made those videos.
I know.
Okay.
I know. We talk about it every time we bring it up.
Back from Massachusetts.
A celebration of Potter puppet pals. Mm-hmm. That's what we should do next week.
Dumbledore.
Walk in circles.
Just do the whole show as the puppets. Just we'll get really low mics, or we'll put the mics under the table and just have the puppets up, and we'll do shot. Man, why don't we have production meetings ahead of time?
What you want to do for your birthday, Neville? Walk in circles. If you haven't seen Potter Puppet Pals, don't go watch it now. Wait till the show's over and go do that. We'll pick our favorite Potter Puppet Pals clips and make sure they're on the show notes for you. And back on the controls, Mr. Oliver Green.
Hello, everyone.
How are we all doing, guys? We doing good today?
I'm good, yeah.
Very good.
Dumbledore. Now it's going to be my head. It's like hypnotizing.
No, it's...
Snape. Severus Snape.
Dumbledore!
He goes like this, Dumbledore.
Okay. Well, yes. I'm going to just go ahead and apologize up front to everyone. This will obviously be a very Harry Potter-centric episode, as this is all about a celebration of Harry Potter 2017. Our thoughts on it. We'll kind of give you a rough idea of what all took place throughout the weekend, our experience with it, and tie it all up with whether or not we think it really worked out in general, and whether it should be coming back next year. We heard that there was surveys being kind of passed around here and there, asking people, is this something you might want to see more frequently throughout the year? So we'll kind of go into discussions on all of that, because it's definitely...
If only Oliver had seen some of the movies.
I have seen, I pretty much believe, all of them. There's only one or two I think I've not seen.
You've been on the WB Studio Tour London, right?
Yes, yeah, I did do that, yes.
The ambivalence to I might have seen them all, I'm pretty sure, is pretty much the stamp on how you feel about them.
But, I mean, at least he has been to the WB Studio Tour thing, so
that's where Friends was filmed there, yeah.
What?
just trying to make people's heads explode.
Yeah. It's not doing a good job at it. But
it was filmed at the one here.
Yeah, before I'll try to break this up a little bit though. Before we jump into all this Potter talk and go crazy hectic with Potter, we will go over the only news item that we really have for today, and that is that yesterday we were told via the Universal Orlando Twitter account that everyone will now get free parking at CityWalk after 6 p.m. starting yesterday, except for Halloween Horror Night event nights. Yeah, everyone. So basically, it's, if you're unfamiliar with how Universal Orlando works, we've talked about it in past episodes, but basically CityWalk is the main hub that you actually show up at. It's not like Walt Disney World where you have two theme parks. In this case, it would be Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. They both don't have their own separate parking lots, and then CityWalk has its own parking lot too. It's not like that. There are two parking garages that they connect via moving walkways that you've heard me rant about many times before, how people just stand on them. They eventually meet into CityWalk, where then you have all access to CityWalk, as well as stretching out to the two theme parks, and you can get to all the hotels via CityWalk as well too. And it's a great structure in terms of how all of that works. But because it's these two parking garages serve all of this area, there is a charge for everything. Unlike going to Disney Springs, where there is no charge for parking there. CityWalk did have it, so and it's normal costs that it is. I believe it's $20 right now for regular parking, and then if you want premium parking, it's 25, something like that. Whoa, hey, nice to hear me. And then valet's 30, and we have all the parking details. I didn't bring that up, but in the past, after 6:00 p.m., it was $5 if you showed up, and then free after 10 o'clock if you're a Florida resident. And you had your Florida ID, your driver's license after 6, it was free. But now that is open to absolutely everyone, which is honestly a really, really great thing. So, and the big reason is you've heard us constantly love and show praise to a lot of these CityWalk restaurants. And now this really opens up the door for people to get over there and actually try them out.
It makes them even cheaper, even more affordable. Excuse me, not cheaper.
Inexpensive.
Yes.
Exactly.
I always use that word interchangeably, and I know it doesn't mean the same thing.
It was always terribly difficult for me, even though we love something like Twosome or NBC or Cowfish, any of those. When we have our Disney World fans, people who are going to Disney World, but they're thinking about maybe coming over to Universal to try out a restaurant before they really, even think about visiting the parks or anything. A lot of times you got the question, well, I know I have to park. Is it worth it? And for me, that's hard because I don't like paying for parking at anything if I can avoid it. Well,
especially if nowhere validates.
Exactly.
Like if I'm paying for it, but it's like when you go to the movie theater downtown, if you've ever been there.
Yes.
Like I like the theater, it's very nice, but you have to pay to park in the parking garage.
Yes.
And they validate, which makes it a little better, but you still have to pay in the end, so it's still a couple more bucks. And you're like, I already paid so much for the movie.
And so, like with these restaurants, you could always recommend to someone who's staying on Disney World property, coming over and saying, well, after 6, it's only $5. But that's still like, if they end up having a terrible experience, everything, I don't want that to be the icing on the cake, and I had to pay to park for it. And granted, I know in the grand scheme of things, $5 is not that much. But, if you're scraping the bottom of the bucket just to come up with money for a vacation, the last thing you need to worry about is $5 for parking. Especially when at a place like Twosome, you can get an entree for $14. So, when you start looking at it in that way, $5, that's a third of your meal that you're just paying alone to park. So, I think this is great for that reason. I hope that now it will open up, and all those people who are staying maybe on International Drive, just off property around Walt Disney World or at Walt Disney World, this will be kind of the push. If you have a rental car and you are always kind of holding off on it, take advantage of this deal. We've compared and contrasted at points in time. What's better, Disney Springs, CityWalk? It's really tough. We were kind of talking about this right before the show. As much as Disney Springs has really pushed forward to come up with unique and different dining experiences, with places like Morimoto, Homecoming, Frontera Cucina, now Guy Fieri's Planet Hollywood Observatory. There's
that it's his.
It's not. It's not. Let's make that.
All over it.
Yeah, let's make that clear. He helped with certain menu items. It's not his.
He's got a half a page.
He's got in the middle of their menu a centerfold with his face. A centerfold.
There-
It's not a centerfold. He's got a picture all on one page.
Topless. There's more of his actual body, like a visual picture of his body on that menu, than there are items he created in the menu.
Yes.
True.
So I personally, while there are a lot of great dining opportunities at Disney Springs, I still firmly believe that CityWalk is the better place to go for dining. The prices are a lot more reasonable than you will find at
Absolutely.
Disney Springs. A lot more reasonable. When it basically costs the same amount of money to eat at Deluxe Burger that it does at Twosome, you're gonna go with Twosome any day of the week. And while Disney has all the high-end shopping, that just doesn't appeal to me. I would never shop there. If I go and I shop at Disney Springs, I'm going to the stuff that sells Disney related items, not any of the other stores around there. I've gone into Uniqlo, but it's more for the browsing around and looking at yes, Oliver, I do understand that's where you buy all your clothes. So, but that's a bigger discussion beyond this. So yeah, essentially I think people should take advantage of this opportunity. Don't feel like CityWalk doesn't have anything for you. If you're looking for a good meal, if you want a theater, I know you're kind of having a discussion about this right now. Not all of the actual theaters themselves at Universal's AMC are in the best condition. I would say they are on the same level as the quality of the ones over at Disney Springs.
I bet that's the next thing to get, like a do-over, or a remodel, or a renovation, or something.
I absolutely agree with that. I would say they're comparable to the AMC at Disney Springs in terms of the quality of the screen, speaker system, everything inside. Not the best experience you could ever have in a movie theater, but whereas if you're used to going to Disney Springs and finding that you barely can choose any seats because it's always busy, that does not happen at Universal's.
Yeah, and I'll lay that out too, because the one thing that they're both AMC, they're the same theater. So the one at Disney Springs that it has over the one at Universal is the dine-in option, the fork and screen. And if you're not going to do fork and screen at the Disney theater, I would say that the Disney Springs and Universal are like my least preferred places to go see movies.
Yeah.
Unless I'm doing the dining experience.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but even I like going at Universal.
I'd prefer Universal over that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, we've talked about it before too. Our favorite theater is the
Cinemark.
The Cinemark at Artegon that no longer exists. Well, the
Just
Cinemark
Artegon.
exists.
Yeah, that was
Artegon
like the Cinemark is still open for business. So if you're in town, that's a good place to go.
Exactly. And that's our preferred theater, but full disclosure too, I also have a wife who works at Universal, so we get discounted tickets to go there.
Well,
so
anybody who's like, if you're a Disney employee, if you're a Universal, anybody who's in the service industry gets a discount there, which is nice too. So I will say that's also an edge for me as well, because it kind of like gives you a little bit cheaper than going to the other one. But.
So I think there's a lot there. While I still believe that the miniature golf is a bit of a ripoff there, it's a cool theme to it. But this even applies if you're going to see one of the concerts at the Hard Rock. Right now, with this new deal, all these concerts end up happening around 7-8 o'clock. So you can now go and not have to pay for parking. And there's comedians that come through there all the time besides just concerts. Jay Leno's coming in April, I think. As much as I dislike him for what he did to my Conan, I might go see him. I don't know, but just take advantage of that deal. I'll stop harping on that because I think we need to start harping on Harry Potter.
That sounds like we're going to be mean.
I thought you were about to have an awesome segue then, something like Nope, not at all. No.
Tried to come up with it. We're all we're going to try hard here, but we're all in a bit of a food coma.
That one, but I can't think of another spell. Sorry.
Yeah. So for some reason we all made the mistake before we started recording this and doing this to all go to Taco Bell and have the naked chicken chalupas. And Oliver had 3. He's a little piggy. I'll let him know right now that's 1,300 calories he'll never get back.
I don't want to know. I just don't want to know.
Well, I just told you.
Taco Bell's my Patronus. Just.
Is it chalupa your Patronus? What at Taco Bell is your Patronus? Now I'm curious.
I'm going to go with the chalupa, actually.
Just the bell?
It sounds more like Harry Potter thing, like, chalupa!
You don't say the name of your Patronus. It just comes out.
Okay.
Anyways, let's talk about a celebration of Harry Potter 2017, shall we? So this is the 4th year of the event. I think they would say it was the biggest year that they've had so far in terms of they actually had to expand the expo center this year into into 2 different locations. So before it was all just in Soundstage 33, all crammed in together. Now they have moved it into 2 different sound stages. But still, the basics are the same. 3 days of events. Basically a welcome ceremony on Friday night, events all day Saturday, and then events up through, late afternoon into the early evening. About 5 o'clock is the last big event on Sunday. And throughout the weekend, there was panels with the people who helped make the films, as well as the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. There was the panels with the film talent and a lot of interesting information, even regarding the books. And inside the expos, there was a lot of really, really neat stuff. Just here and there. I mean, it is a cool event if you are a diehard Potter fan. For sure. Mm-hmm. For everyone else, of course, not. No, this would be like a headache. For Oliver, he would just hate every second of being there.
Okay. I actually don't hate Harry Potter, just putting it out there, but I do have a question so far. So I actually stayed away from this event. I tried not to look at stuff purely so I could be the person that has absolutely no knowledge of it coming onto the show. Say I wasn't a Harry Potter fan and I was visiting just generally. Does this completely saturate the park? Or is it tucked away enough that I wouldn't even really know about it?
You'd notice because you'd be like, man, there's a lot of people in costumes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a lot of people in the costumes. Is it a bit more intense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not talking about people in robes. I'm talking about people like in costume.
Yeah, this is an event where cosplay is allowed, and actually, they want people there.
Okay.
And there was probably 200 Newt Scamanders walking around. There were, multiple Dumbledores just blowing your mind, multiple Snapes, just very creative costumes. The only one that I think we truly, genuinely hated was there was a group of 5 or 6 people.
Should have taken a picture.
Who just basically threw a black blanket over their heads. Attached some cardboard around them, and then put the pole noodles sticking out the sides, and
it was like they had a half a can of a dollar store black spray paint.
Yeah, and they called themselves Aragog,
and they go
the spider.
Oh, Aragog's coming through. Oh, just moaning.
When you have to say the name of the thing you dressed as, so people know what you dressed as, you've not done a good job.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that was most upsetting is they were 8 not even young adults. They were 8 40, 50-year-olds just roaming around in a box that clearly had to have been separated and then taped back together.
Yeah. And that's the bizarre part of this event too. It really does, it almost transcends your expectations on what ages people will still continue to dress up. Of course, there's little kids dressed up all the way through. Drunk ladies in their 60s, probably, that you see everyone at this event. So let's actually dig into the event, what we did. I'll try to go through and compare what we were able to do alongside what was actually open, because as we are there as part of invited media, we had a little bit of a different experience and bounced around differently than normal day guests would. So we'll just try to tie it all together.
Do you want to start and tell about that terrible cast slate?
I'm not going to talk about Vivian.
No? Okay.
I'm not going to talk about Vivian. But if you follow me on Twitter,
you know about Vivian.
You already know. So let's actually go over the event. It started this past weekend, Friday, January 27th, and of 2017, the year of
the rooster.
The year of the rooster. Thank you. I couldn't remember if it was monkey, rooster, pig.
No,
Lunar New Year, man.
It's a nasty pig.
It's crazy. In the morning, we were busy doing our normal work. Didn't get out, but the expo opened up around 9 o'clock and was open all that day through 5 o'clock. They were showing movies at the Universal Music Plaza stage. But our night actually started, pretty much right around 5 o'clock, and where everyone has to wait until the big opening night event ceremony to see the celebrities. Ryno and I actually got a chance to be a part of an exclusive question and answer session with the 4 celebrities that were there. And if you don't remember which celebrities that were attending this year, it was Matthew Lewis, who plays Neville Longbottom, Warwick Davis, who plays Professor Phileas Flitwick, as well as Grip Hook. And then we had Jason Isaacs, who plays
Lucius Malfoy.
And then Tom Felton, who plays
Draco Malfoy.
Yes, and you know,
Potter.
You swine.
Sorry. He talked about how that was his. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to get into. I guess you go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, okay. So
it's something he says in this thing, but
we are going. Yeah, we're gonna show just about 5 minutes, a little bit of a taste of what we got from our Q&A. We already have all of our videos up at youtube.com/WDWinfo from the event. Some of the panels we attended, a look at the expo, which you'll also get to see here, and then a couple of the Q&A sessions. So for the full rundown on that, if you're interested in them, they are over there. I highly recommend going and taking a look at them. A lot of fun, interesting information, because I think both you and I were very surprised by how good of a group of film talent this actually was this year.
Yeah. They had a lot to say, and it was the first time at this event for 3 out of 4 of them, right? Tom,
yes,
Jason, and
the only person who was there for a celebration before was Matthew Lewis,
who clearly is just not want to keep doing these. He does not like to keep talking about Harry Potter, I don't think.
Yeah, so Matthew Lewis has come for all the celebrations. Warwick, the last time I believe he was at anything Potter related was the opening of Diagon Alley. And then Jason Isaacs, the last time he was there was for the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 DVD release that I was actually, I was working the day that event happened, because that was almost like the first time they dipped their toes in the waters of like a Harry Potter celebration. All the film talent was there.
That was before Diagon Alley was open, right?
Yes, that was before Diagon Alley. They had the Today Show was actually there, and they were filming.
I remember this. I remember
sequences. That. It was really cool. And Tom Felton, the last time I believe he was in town was for the opening of Diagon Alley as well. So
no. Did they or for the media event before the sorry.
You were at the public
I was
opening.
sorry.
You weren't at the grand
I forgot
opening.
that they had that other one that then nobody ever showed up for anything else to do with it after that.
Yeah, you were at the public grand opening. I was at the official grand opening.
Yeah.
And I was at the one you were at too. We didn't know each other then.
I know, it's weird. We were probably crossing our wands before we even knew it. Harry Potter, the wand. I should have said something else. Our Patronuses were probably passing in the night.
Okay,
Gross.
That sounds even worse.
We're done.
It's the name of my next studio album.
We're done. So, because all these celebrities were new to a celebration of Harry Potter, the one thing it did was it pulled Matthew Lewis out of his Grumpy Gus shell just a little bit. Not totally. He was still acting like he was too cool for school, but for the most part, there was Jason Isaacs might be the most enthralling person I've ever sat and listened to. He could have been the only star here this weekend, and I would have just been floored with it all. So we'll give you just a little bit of taste here of what we got to hear on that first night, and we'll continue talking about them as we go along. So for anyone who is listening to this, if you you're going to still be able to listen to this too. So as I said before, if you want to see the full thing, though, you'll have to go to YouTube. So let's roll it.
Yeah, it's lovely to see families celebrating the films here as well. You know, you've got parents who were obviously fans of the films, who've had kids, even kids as young that they wouldn't have even been born when the last film came out. There was a little girl this morning with her mum, and her mum was dressed as who looked after the plants? Was it Madam Sprout? Sprout, Professor Sprout. She was dressed as, and then her little girl was dressed as a mandrake in a flower pot. The little girl, I think, was really confused, why am I in a flower pot? But nonetheless, it looked great, and it's just terrific seeing generations now experience.
And older people, there's a lot of people on mobility scooters and stuff,
Absolutely.
in their 80s and 90s and stuff. I'm not sure I can think of anything else that draws that many people together.
Yeah, it's nothing. There was a Dumbledore on a mobility scooter. It was fantastic. Yeah, there's some great outfits. People just getting involved, and it's just some of the costumes. They're better than the ones we had. Some of them, aren't they?
So we're all fans of Harry Potter, and we love it, and it's amazing. So what are you guys fans of besides Harry Potter? It could be a sports team, it could be a movie, it could be a band. Like, if you could say, like, I'm a fan of this, what would that be?
Changes daily, obviously, but passions, if you will, like guitars, music. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, I think, playing guitar. I'm a huge fan of that, if that's a thing.
I'm a tennis junkie. So one of the reasons I'm a little bit punch drunk today is I was awake all night watching Nadal play and get through to the final, and he's playing Federer on Sunday, which is a strange kind of back to the future moment for all of us. I'm hoping that Bill Clinton's coming back as president as well. That's what but I play it, I don't just watch every stroke of every major and minor tournament, I stand when I watch it. So I was standing till about 5:30 this morning on television. Yeah.
Weirdo.
Yeah, I feel like it's disrespectful to sit
Why do
down.
you stand up? Just because?
I just kind of in the moment, I feel like I'm caught with them.
Do you do the...
Yeah.
You end up like... you got a great towel in between sets, rubbing himself down.
I'm a tennis junkie. I think it's the ultimate warrior sport. Apart from people who actually beat each other to death.
Well, I dare I say it within these walls, but I'm actually at heart a true Star Wars fan. Believe it or not. No, I only booed the tennis.
Because I don't play Wimbledon, you are in Star Wars.
No, but it's not because of that. It's because at 7 years old I went to see Star Wars, and it had a huge impact on me as a 7-year-old child, having only seen Bambi in the cinema before that. So it was amazing, and just when I see the movies now, I just see them still as a fan, and I'm in awe of everything I see on screen, and I just love the escapism of it.
Would you? So, having been a part of the franchise for as long as you have...
No, I'm going to stop you. Franchises sell burgers. Franchises, when someone makes a film with they blow a bunch of stuff up, takes money to the cinema, they add another film on, another Roman numeral, they add The Rock or whatever the hell it is, until nobody buys tickets anymore. We were part of an amazing story that was broken into 8 parts.
And having been a part of that story and the evolving wizarding world as it's continuing to grow, what are your hopes and aspirations for that world as it continues to evolve?
You want Malfoy world, don't you?
No, I think there should be a Malfoy Manor ride, certainly. Nothing, I just hope, my 11-year-old just read all the books again, and I just hope that the stories continue, people watch the films in whatever new, scratch and sniff virtual reality formats come out, and I just, what was amazing making them, considering that they are, yes, they're big commercial projects, is there wasn't a trace of cynicism from anybody involved that we ever met. On the set, even though that it's not like making an indie movie, we all do it for love, and you're all piled in the back of a van, there's thousands of trailers and miles of sets and stuff. We were all as big a fans of the stories and the characters as any of you or any of the people who turn up this week or anybody anywhere queuing up at midnight for the book. And that, I think, has maintained across everything. The people who designed the park here, they use the designer from the film, Stuart, who everything comes from a place of authenticity and kind of reverence for the material. And so I just hope that continues and that cynicism doesn't creep in anyway.
So that was just a little bit of a taste of the great question and answer little panel that we got to be a part of. And I threw in a little bit of the variety there, showing the different questions that weren't necessarily Potter related, because that's one of the benefits that we get to have as being a part of these media panels. It's not just strictly always straight on Harry Potter. So there's a bunch of other great stories, or Dave is talking about some rugby experience that he got to have. People treating him like he was ball. Yeah, I know it's terrible, but
what was great about this though is that so there was like a Q&A session with the talent on multiple days.
Yes.
And we saw that one, and we saw one on Saturday, and it was different.
Yes.
They were telling stories, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm repeating the same story. It was kind of like, oh, I had thought of this thing again, and I should say this, and you can really feel that with Tom Felton and Jason Isaac, and Warwick Davis had a panel that he hosted as well that was also very engaging. I felt he was. Last year I was like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I guess I'll say that.
So
for the overall thought.
we got to. We'll be there very quickly because that's only like 12 hours away at this point. So yeah, after we got to be a part of this panel again. If you want to see the diverse questions that are asked, please go out and watch us, youtube.com/WDWinfo. Then we moved on to the opening night event, which, they told us that there was going to be major announcements happening at this and expect this big announcement. Well, basically what the opening night ceremony is it is this big hype train that ends up leading to nothing. While it started off very cool with the frog choir all coming out to sing for us, and of course Warwick Davis joined them because in the movies he was Professor Phileas Flitwick, as I said before, who was the conductor of the frog choir. So he came out and led them in a couple songs, and then the event starts, and essentially it's just a preview of everything that they're going to talk about during the weekend and everything you have an opportunity to see, from Pottermore, Scholastic, Mina Lima, like literally just little blurbs.
Yeah.
Where they just tell you, well, this is going to happen.
I'm
and that's
so
gonna
excited to be here. We have something to talk about, but you probably already heard it.
Yeah, and so this goes on for a solid about 40 minutes or so before finally the film talent comes out. Yeah. So this is the first real glimpse that these people are getting to actually see the film talent, and they take the stage and they just do a little brief banter, and that's how it's kicked off. It's honestly, it's interesting because this is like one of these events that, like, the first time that they held this ceremony, it was, I can't remember if it was the first or second actually, so I apologize, but the first time I did it, I think I remember that's when they had a red carpet and all the celebrities walked down the red carpet to get to the stage, and it was this big exciting moment, and they even had a Ford Anglia drive out onto the stage too, and that was the year that Mark Williams was there too, from as I recall from my memory. And it was such an epic introduction to the event. Went into a full-blown Q&A.
Who's Mark Williams?
Arthur Weasley.
Oh, okay.
And
okay,
goes into this. It just goes into this big, like, it really kicks off the event well. This, not so much. Not for me. That was actually the second year that one happened. The first year, it was more like this, but then I had more extended Q&A in it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, besides the final ending, last year you guys got fireworks to like officially start the or to officially start the weekend. This year we got more confetti than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, you don't understand. I like, it went out, it shot out, and I think you put there's a video of that on YouTube as well, but it was just like never ending. It went on for probably like 4 or 5 minutes. Like, and I'm not exaggerating. All I could think was, is somebody going to, because the ground was then coated in this, like, what are like essentially 1x1 squares of shiny plastic material. And all I could think is, somebody's going to slip and fall on all this confetti now. And then we were like, I feel bad for the person cleaning this up later. And the next day when I was coming in the morning at CityWalk, I could see it on CityWalk. It had blown out of the park and into CityWalk. Yeah.
It was pretty cool. For all the opening night videos there, of course, YouTube, go and check out those videos. We'll have them all linked so you can find them easily. This event should be big and exciting for the very first night. It falls flat for me. It was cool. It was cool to find out that the Forbidden Forest is coming to the WB Studio Tour London. But
they need to stop teasing. Okay, I think the reason why I feel like it fell flat too is because they tease quite a bit throughout the thing. Yeah. Big announcements, and they're not big announcements. Last year, we'll argue that last year it was a big announcement. Last year was the announcement of the name of all the American schools. And if you're really into Harry Potter,
still not a big announcement.
I don't know. Though. For me to be there and to have Luna, to have my gosh, her name is escaping me. This
Ivana
always
Lynch.
happens to me. Ivana Lynch reading a note from J.K. Rowling. And, like, so you have, like, the person who is arguably the biggest fan, other than Alan Rickman was, and of the Harry Potter books from the movies, reading a note written by J.K. Rowling, and they're announcing, like, new information of the Potter world that we thought at that time might have been a bigger deal to do with the movie than it has been thus far, other than just named in Fantastic Beasts. Like, I thought that was, like, kind of cool, exciting, but there was nothing there this year. Like, I don't care. I not to say I don't care about the studio tour. Yeah, if I'm in London, I would kill to be on that, to do that thing.
But the majority of people, I think, attending this event are not.
They're already
Brits.
on there.
I think they're people that are already in America.
Right, and they're already on their vacation. And I hate when that happens on vacations. I come from a family that scraped everything they could just to be able to go on a vacation. And I hate when people try to sell you another vacation while you're already on the vacation. Like, stop it. That you are here to enjoy this moment. Don't keep trying to pressure me and push me somewhere else that's more and more grandiose. It's not like, I don't need you to sell me an Adventures by Disney. I'm at Disney, you know? It's just one of those situations.
Yeah. So nothing really happened that night, but it is a way to get the energy up and takes us into our second day. And like I said, lots of panels happening throughout the day. The expo was open from 9 a.m. to 3:30 that day, so very shortened times. We'll probably go over the expo last, just so you know, because that was where we spent a lot of our Sunday going over it. Throughout the day, there was lots of stuff happening on the Universal Music Plaza stage, right in Production Central at Universal Studios Florida. And then other panels happened over in the Toon Lagoon Amphitheater in Toon Lagoon at Islands of Adventure. And some of the highlights kind of included the first panel that you actually did, the WB Studio Tour London, that was the Creatures Effects with Nick Dudman and Warwick Davis. And I am so jealous I missed this event. How was it?
Oh, it was fantastic. This was an event where I was kind of like, meh, because I thought it was going to be like, here we are selling you the studio tour again. I think the name of the event was the panel, I think, was misnamed.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it was like they did kind of talk a little bit about that, but the guy who is involved with it, he made the stuff for the film. So it's this I can't remember his name. I think you
Nick
just
Dudman.
said it too. Nick Dudman.
Dudman. As in Milk Dud.
Man.
With a man.
Nick Dudman and Warwick Davis. These are two people that actually worked in, and on the movies. Yeah. And Warwick Davis, obviously being such like a character actor and, Goblin, he's very familiar with the process, being an Ewok and everything like that. He's familiar with those special effects processes and the costumes and everything. And it was a very fluid conversation. We're to the point where I'm sure that it was probably a little scripted out, maybe, but it was still felt very intimate. It felt like that's the stuff I love, because I wanted to go to school for special effects stuff like that for a while, for the special effects makeup. And so I'm always fascinated to hear that stuff. And it didn't feel like the same old regurgitated stories that had I just Googled, I could have found. It felt like they treated us to like little new information, Oh, we never thought to really say this before, but like how they filmed Hagrid's part. That was a big deal for this for me, is how they talked about there was a double and they had to create a suit for the double. And then they showed us a scene from the film and they were like, can you tell who's who in the scene? Because I bet you can. And I couldn't. Normally you can. And I was like, that's tricky. So it was one of those where I was like, this is better filmmaking than those Lord of the Rings movies.
That's actually really cool. So I need to watch our video that you did on that so I can actually see it.
It was a really, really good panel. And that was the one where I was like, it was better than anything I saw last year.
And that was new. This was one of the panels that they haven't done in years past. Bless you. And so this is like, I'm so upset that I didn't get to do this, because my biggest complaint about going into this weekend was, gosh, I've done all this crap.
Yeah.
Happening over on the Music Plaza stage throughout the day during this time too. Wand combat skills with Paul Harris. I will go on another mini rant on this, as I do all the time. He was the wand combat choreographer for Film 5, The Order of the Phoenix. He taught them the basic moves that he came up with, and that's why he calls himself the world's only wand combat choreographer. And basically then, though, all the actors were told to kind of come up with their own flourishes in their own style. So basically, if you watch Order of the Phoenix, you can barely see any of the moves that he actually created in what they're doing. And so it really, to me, it's just like a filler event. I think it's the only thing that this guy does on a yearly basis. It was cool the first time, and it's cool for people who get like pulled into it and brought up, and they get to be on stage doing all this and have their back and forth battles. But it is one of those things about the event that's just getting a little bit old. Also, Mina Lima came back, and they were doing panels on all of their graphic art, which, you know, they created basically the look of the Wizarding World. They're the ones who created all the logos, it's the Hogwarts train ticket, the Marauders map, like anything that has any graphic design element to it. They are the ones who touched it, and their work is brilliant. And you know, they picked up and went along with everything for Fantastic Beasts. So
Yeah.
you know, at least they brought something new to the table this year with adding Fantastic Beasts into it.
I don't think you gave Oliver the photo, but it would have been cool. Speaking of them and the Fantastic Beasts, we found, I think you saw that it was posted online or something like that, but we found that there is a poster. If you've seen Fantastic Beasts, there's a scene, because it's in the in 20s New York City, right? Yeah, it's New
Yes.
York. Yeah, sorry, one of those moments it all went away. But where they go to this sort of speakeasy, like underground secret wizard club, and I forget what it's called, something with pig in the title. But they added, outside of any of the Harry Potter,
The blind pig.
the blind pig in the New York area. If you go down that street where the Blues Brothers are on, by the end of the street, toward the building for Transformers, they have a little stairway that kind of goes down, and on the window, on the door, I'm trying to fill time here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
They put the poster for it, and it's so, like, it looks so natural, like it goes there. Like, I would have walked by that and never even have thought anything of it. And I think that's just, like, I love that they like went in and added that in New York, you know. That's really cool. I kind of hope that stays there too. I hope it doesn't come down after.
Yeah, I haven't
back to check yet.
been back to check either, but very little. I love Mina Lima. I love everything they do. Very cool duo. They were there again. Also, then a couple other panels that you and I did sit on. Stories from the exhibition, taking the audio tour experience to the world. And this was on the Harry Potter exhibition that has traveled around to, so far, 9 countries. And it will go for 15 total or something like that.
No, it's 9 countries, 15 stops.
9 countries, 15 stops. Thank you.
So like multiple locations in some countries.
Yeah. So if you've been lucky enough to do the Harry Potter exhibition, you know, I did it in New York.
I'm
sorry. This was a bore of a panel.
Yeah, I think we went into this panel a few minutes late too. And
Yeah, just a little bit.
Like, I was kind of happy that we didn't see the whole thing, because it was another one of those where I was like, I can't understand what Pierre is saying because he talks so like low, and he talks really quickly and low, and they just like,
to talk like Eddie Redmayne.
yeah, a little bit. So it's hard for me to, like, I like what he's saying, but it's really hard to get to what he's saying. And also, I thought, like, this version of this panel that he did last year was better, because it sounded more like, I think because last year it was geared toward how they built Diagon Alley.
Yes.
And that was more exciting, because it was like, okay, I've learned the story. I can go into Diagon Alley and see it now. Whereas, like, they're talking about the exhibition again. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like, I mean, it's great. The exhibition, you know, it gets all these film props in there. And, you know, part of the big draw of this one was they were giving away a quaffle that was signed by the Phelps twins.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if you have to give away something just to get people in there, maybe it's something that you should really rethink in terms of a panel. So this was a bore, but the one that followed right afterwards is still in the Toon Lagoon Amphitheater. At this time, on the Music Plaza stage, there was a film talent Q&A happening. We skipped this because we wanted to see this one, which was an interview with Mary Grandpré. She is the illustrator on all of the books, the U.S. Scholastic Edition books,
Yeah.
the first ones, not the ones that have been re-released now that were done by like Kobayashi, or I forget what his
Kobayashi
name. This is the classic books that are still out and available, the ones that I grew up with, the ones that you grew up with. And while she was a very timid speaker and nervous, it was just really, really great to see all of a good amount of her sketches that she was putting
Yeah,
up.
I thought that was a real highlight for me. I love seeing. I mean, you love that kind of visual design too. Is it was just really cool. I never really knew the process, and unfortunately, I had a question I was going to ask. I didn't get to it. I was just curious, like how beforehand they got to read, and how she was inspired by it. But I'm assuming from the way she was talking about it that they just gave her the manuscript ahead of time. But it was really cool to kind of see the different versions, and they had it like all laid out from front to back. And honestly, I don't know that I've ever taken the covers and unwrapped them and laid them down before, because when you do that, I found it very impressive, because I think there was little details maybe I never noticed about the back or the inside cover or something like that, you know, and that was neat. And it was kind of cool. I will tell you the one most interesting thing from that panel that I learned, though, she'd only ever met J.K. Rowling once.
Yeah, that was a nice little tidbit.
Yeah, I was like, really? Just the one time? So she never actually like dealt with her directly ever. So I was like, so it's weird. I wonder what it worked like for the UK release of the book. Like, did she get to know the person who did that, and then this is just the American person? It just seems like she's so involved in everything that it was weird to me.
I bet she met Robert Galbraith, though, like many times.
Is that the guy who did the British ones?
No.
I don't know.
That's it. That was J.K. Rowling's pseudonym when she released that other book series.
I thought it was the corn. Her name was something. Gosh.
It was Robert Galbraith. I'm positive.
No,
on
there's
this.
another series where she's like, and maybe it's the character's name, where she was the man, where she J.K. Rowling's pen name, and they're filming them. The Corman Strike. I think it's the character's name then. Now it's just going to be. You're right. That's the name. Galbraith. Robert Galbraith is a pseudonym for J.K. Rowling. Yeah. But she wrote the Corman Strike novels. I thought the last name was Corman or something like that. Okay.
Gotcha.
There we are.
Okay, so this was very cool. We also have full video up of this if you would like to watch it on YouTube. So we won't bore you with all those details now. It's very visual. So if you're listening to this, it just would be a waste. You'd have to go watch it anyways. The night kind of wound up with two more events. A house rally meetup costume contest, which I don't get into this. It was a chance for the people who were cosplaying to really show off their costumes, win a prize. But apparently the way that you signed up to be a part of it was not really streamlined well, not set up well. And
you had to be there early, but they didn't tell people. And then also, I believe they only like picked their favorites. It wasn't like, sign up. Like if you go to a convention, they usually do like a parade down the hallway or something like that. And I feel like that's what they should have done here. But because our friend of the show, Ben, he was wearing a Ravenclaw Quidditch outfit, and we were like, why weren't you up there? You were better than one of the ones up there.
Yeah.
So it was,
it was weird in terms of that. And the night ends with an evening tribute, which they promised more announcements because we didn't get them that first night. So this was going to be the night of the announcements. Basically, to summarize this event, on Friday night, unfortunately, John Hurt, who played Ollivander in the Harry Potter film series, as well as, and from Aliens, Alien, not Aliens. You know him at this point.
Henry
you should know
Jones
him.
Jr.
And, so it did start with a tribute to him. They just put up a picture of Ollivander, and the crowd raised their wand to him, and it was nice. This kicks off the evening tribute that we think we're going to get all this exclusive information. Something. It's a tribute. There needs to be something good. Well, basically, the only thing to really get excited for was they showed a deleted song from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. They announced that Fantastic Beasts would be coming out on Blu-ray March 27th or something like that, and on digital March 7th. And then we sat, as you mentioned earlier, through about a 40-minute long Q&A with the film talent, which
was very exciting again.
It was because they answered different questions. They were all very excited. Jason Isaacs was on fire again with his questions. If you missed out on any of the Q&A panels throughout the weekend, I feel like if you showed up to the tribute, you got a great taste of what you can actually hear from them. But as a tribute as a whole, again, this is a week thing. This is your Saturday night main event to show up to, and it's just kind of, it falls flat, and that's a lot of the story throughout all of this. So the next day, well, basically throughout the day, all of the same panels that happened on Saturday were also happening today. The Warwick Davis panel with Nick Dudman, Wand Combat, choreography, the exhibition, all of that was happening again. So Ryno and I spent this day really focusing on the expo. And so we are going to show you a little bit of the expo as we talk about it. So as I said, the expo was broken down into two sound stages, 33 and 21. And inside 33 was where they had the Scholastic booth set up, where they were giving away posters and having drawings to win books. They showed off some of the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them costumes that are supposedly the ones they wore. They showed off the Harry Potter exhibition, some costumes that they brought from that were Quidditch costumes, and you had the chance to throw your own quaffle through a hoop. We did not throw a quaffle through the hoop.
I didn't put my hands on quaffle.
Yeah, the House of Mina Lima was here, and they had a lot of their artwork on display, as well as some of the props that they actually created for all of the
there's that
the
pig
Harry
poster
Potter
if you're
films.
watching.
Yeah, the blind pig.
The blind pig.
And no, I loved their little display cases that just had all these little mementos.
Well,
in
it felt
them.
like you were in a Harry Potter store when you were there, like an authentic, like I should say, a wizarding store.
Yeah,
But
I love their artwork.
The other highlight was this.
The studio tour booth that they had set up. You waited in line for a long time. This line was getting to be like an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah.
But once you got in there, you got to see them, how they were putting hairs into the legs of one of the spiders. You got to see a Hagrid costume, and you got the chance to see the actual Aragog that was used in the filming of Harry Potter, which was just absolutely amazing that we got to see that
scary.
up close. Very, very cool to see the special effects. Of course, they had plenty of merchandise that was all celebration of Harry Potter related, because who doesn't want their event merchandise? I didn't. They had the chocolate frog, of course, that was
Got that from my
Gilderoy
friend.
Lockhart on it, and just
Craig got these if you're watching.
yeah,
The,
leggings. I got leggings.
Skin tight.
I like them. They show off every imperfection on my body. And what more could you really want from life? So, yeah, for the first time, I think, in this event, that soundstage didn't feel cluttered. Because they also had 21, which was offering a bunch of different things, including Dead Hermione, which was so creepy.
Petrified Hermione, yeah.
The Flying Ford Anglia. There was this little quiz booth set up with
They called it Audible Recall, and it was like a game where you had to guess what was the closest the Harry Potter what book it was coming from.
And they were doing chalk art on the inside on the final day because of rain, but they also did chalk art on the outside. You had the first chance to see the Hermione Lego Dimension character as well as play with it. If you're into Lego Dimensions, I'm not, but
I have it, but I haven't hooked it up yet. But this did get me excited watching everybody.
They were going crazy about this all weekend. It's something big. But the big thing in here, that the line was getting up to 3 hours long, was to test the Google Daydream VR virtual reality system that was just out of control awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that after we're done going over this. There was
some props from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child that they brought over, and it was your first detailed look, because they'd never released photos of these, but the wands used by the two main characters in this, which was Albus, Harry's kid, and then Scorpius, is it his wand?
I still couldn't figure it out.
I don't remember. There wasn't a plate, and they said it, but I couldn't hear what she said. So
Probably why we should pay attention to things. But yeah, the expos, I felt that this year was the best they've ever done the expos themselves. I felt like there was a lot of different things. And again, the VR we did get a little bit of help as being there for media. We didn't have to wait in the long line.
Yeah.
But again, our friend Ben and Lizzie, they did wait. I believe they said an hour and a half for it and said it was worth every second.
Well, they got a package deal. So there were several lines. There was a standby line. There was the all access package that you could have got. That was the one like you could go to the party afterwards on Friday night. And they had that one. So they also didn't even have to wait in the normal standby queue because there were 2 queues, and then there was like the sorting hat. They did the sorting hat like they've done in years past before you went into the sound stage to find out what house you're in, and fun stuff. Yeah. I definitely liked that they divided it into 2. One felt a little more empty than the other one, but I'm definitely glad they didn't cram the 2 together because it would, like last year, it was really hard to move around in the expo, and this one was definitely much larger and a better use of space.
No, and I loved that I got the chance to meet Aragog up close and personal.
Yeah, I actually thought that was really cool. That was a really good highlight.
We waited too. This was one where we did not get any special access. We waited an hour, and but to get your picture with Aragog is just, you can't pass up that kind of opportunity.
They make you stand right under him. It's a little scary.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I loved how they had everything set up with the expo this year. While I didn't feel the need to be in the expo for a long time because there is only so much to do, I felt like it was done really well. And that is the event in a nutshell.
No, this is the event in a nutshell.
I'm an event in a nutshell.
Here I am in the Harry Potter in a nutshell. That's a terrible accent.
Yes.
So, your thoughts and opinions on the event?
I see. I like. Okay, I won't badmouth this event at all because it's a free event. Obviously park admission, but it's just an event that goes on. You know what I mean? And you don't have to pay for anything while you're there if you don't want to. I really like that. So when you take that into account, like having celebrities from movies being able to go into those exhibits to see the wands from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, that they've never put out there before, or see the spider, see Aragog, do these panels, like as an annual pass holder, like I think that's great for me. Like if I wasn't, working for the Diz or anything, like this is something I would probably, I don't know, having already been that I would plan a vacation to come and go. Yeah. But let's say I still lived in Florida, like I would probably be like, I'm going to go for a day at least. I think what kind of makes it worth it, because we kind of didn't talk about it because we didn't go, but that first night is the party in Diagon Alley that they close off, and it's just for you, and you can ride the ride, and you get butterbeer and ice cream.
As part of
snacks.
The vacation package.
Yeah, as the package, not just a regular ticket. So that stuff, that feels like, if I'm somebody who would plan a vacation here, I think that would be really cool, Yeah. I like it. I really do hope that maybe they get Jason Isaacs again. They need to make sure that the people they get are actually people that want to be here too. Yeah. Like I don't want to see, and I'm sorry, like Matthew Lewis is probably great, and I can understand, these movies. The first movie came out, 17 years ago, 16 years ago. I can understand where maybe this has been, he was like 10, it's his whole life has been talking about this movie, and he wants people to ask him about other stuff. It's the Star Trek syndrome. It's just,
but he knows what he's going into, right? Like, right. Hey, do you want to take part in the Harry Potter event? Are they going to ask me about other things?
Well, that's the other thing too, is that I'm like, they make a lot of money from doing this. So the least you can do is be a little bit engaged, Yeah. And so like, I want more people that are like Warwick, Tom Felton, like Jason Isaac. I hope they kind of still strive to get some more mainstream people like that, and maybe kind of expand what they're doing with the panels. And I think a nighttime something needs to be done though.
Yeah. No, I agree. Here's my take on it, and I'm going to be brutally honest about this event. I think it is a great event. I know diehard fans absolutely love this. They think it is an amazing experience to be a part of, and I do agree. I had a lot of fun going this year, and that's, I will say, I'm
More
not
than
I'm not a
expected.
diehard fan. I am an above average casual fan. I don't go on Pottermore. I don't engage in all of that stuff. Do I love the books and movies? Absolutely. Do I love the Wizarding World? Of course. They shaped my life more than I don't know, like a lot of stuff. So it all means a lot to me. But in this year, I think one of the changes they made by getting better film talent to come, that really freshened it up. Still needed something with Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. I get it.
That's a really good point.
They're starting to film probably the next
Starting
one.
production
so
on the next one, so it becomes difficult.
I understand. It's after the films are over, it'll be easier to start pulling in those talents.
Before I forget, too, you bring up a good point, because they did have a recorded message from Eddie Redmayne that was directly addressing Orlando.
I'm going to read the audio book.
Orlando, sorry I can't be there with you.
I want to read your book.
You're all doing it
Audible.
wrong. You're finishing your sentences. You've got to not. You've got to.
Just trailer.
You've got to start a sentence.
Read it in Audible.
But and then they had the London cast of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child also recorded a message.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that from every
Yeah.
active sector of Harry Potter's universe, they, like the Wizarding World, they did address that. But I do agree. They needed, even if it was a minor. God, imagine if
yeah.
they got Ezra Miller.
Just as a
I
side,
lose my mind.
anyone from the side, they need to make these nighttime events, the Friday night opening and the tribute, they need to make them actually something of substance. They need to add a little bit more oomph into it. It's just they fall flat. And I know they try, and they've got to get all their sponsors, the people who are paying for their booths and stuff to come in. They have to give them their little bit of time. This is for the fans. Do an event for the fans. Don't do it because you're contractually obligated to show off Lego Dimension trailers and stuff like that.
Stuff like that. There's like, you're reaching.
And with the expo, it's great that people can come in and cosplay and stuff. The expo needs to start allowing outside vendors come in and
Yeah, we talked about that.
and they just need that outside source because
I'd
it
like
all
to
feels
see-
very corporate.
Like when you go to like MegaCon or wherever, a comic convention, you see a lot of local vendors or artists or
Yeah.
like people the Harry Potter puppet pals, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can get those puppets, like, you can get the stuff that you would find on Etsy. You can get jewelry that's inspired by Harry Potter. Like, I understand Universal wants they make the official stuff, but then I love like fan art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's always a great thing. And now Disney's doing their Festival of the Arts where they've brought in people that are inspired, they're Disney artists now because they've been inspired. Like, I think Universal needs to tap into that a little bit too.
They need the outside
Because
vendors.
like I want to buy stuff. You just don't have stuff that I want.
And just at a general, because we mentioned it, they were talking about how can we expand this event? How can we make it bigger? Because it is a hit. People keep coming back to this event. Should they do it multiple times throughout the year? Absolutely not, in my opinion. They don't.
No.
They already are just scraping the bottom of the barrel for substance, for stuff to do. These panels needs to be refreshed. Again, Mina Lima came with new art this time because of Fantastic Beasts. That's great. Paul Harris needs to not come back again for a while. They have, he's all tapped out. He's dry. It's Get
him a new jumpsuit.
If you want repeat people coming to this event, you have to start offering something new. They did a little bit of a better job of it this year. They need to do a better job the next time around in terms of that. And until they can like really pack a good solid weekend full of entertainment activities for everyone, I would never tell them to start thinking about expanding it to multiple weekends throughout the year.
I agree.
And that's my opinion on the event. I had a really good time. It was a weekend that I didn't expect to have so much fun, and I'm pleasantly surprised that I got to. But they can still go a long way to make improvements for the next one around next year, because it will be back. Trust me, it will be back. So that's kind of our look at a celebration of Harry Potter 2017. I hope you all, if you didn't get to be there, I hope you enjoyed hearing our little taste of it, and maybe it inspired you to finally go and see the next one next year. So, and if not, maybe we saved you some money on planning on coming down. I don't know. You'll have to tell us. And there's multiple ways of telling us, like going to our show notes page, disunplug.com, and that's where you can find links to email us, our social media pages, everything, as I say every week. What are you?
Video contributor.
Yeah, that's where you can sign up to be a video contributor. We are starting the process of sending emails out to the people who were chosen as video contributors. And if anyone out there is still trying to sign up, please, we need to see a link to a video you do. It can't just be submitting an application saying, I want to do that. We need to see... We need to see what you have to bring to the table. Otherwise, we can't really make that judgment call. And if you didn't include a video link in your first submission, I've been trying to email people that didn't have that. If you didn't, feel free to message us anywhere, send us an email with it, so that way we can start seeing it and hopefully start getting your videos up there very, very soon. Also, along with that, we have a request. We are trying to plan a upcoming show on some of the ticket options that are available for Universal. We are all annual pass holders here, so we don't have a lot of experience with going and buying day tickets. So in particular, the one ticket that we are looking for more information on is the ticket that is a round trip ticket. I don't know the way to say it. It is essentially a round trip ticket to and from Walt Disney World. So if you're staying at Walt Disney World, you get your transportation included as well as your park admission. So it's one of the many options that you can find through Dreams Unlimited Travel, of course, our sponsors, and we talk about that a lot. So, there's two different options for these tickets. There's a 1 day, 2 park ticket with transfer that's $194.30 for adults. And then there's a 2 day, 2 park ticket with transfers that's $285.15 for adults. And of course, pricing for children as well. That's a little bit discounted. Basically, each ticket's about $5 to $10 cheaper than before. So, if anyone out there has used these tickets and you could help us with your experience, how the process worked, from which hotels were you staying at to how you got your bus, how you boarded, how you actually made it over to Universal, what the pickup times were like, were there certain, all of that information we really want to know, so we can understand and then help. If, you had a good time with it, we can help recommend it in the future. So please, if you have any experience at all with it, please go ahead and shoot us an email, uopodcast@disunplug.com. If you forget that, go to disunplug.com. You'll be able to find our email address. I've already said follow us on social media, so make sure you also are subscribing to us on YouTube as well as iTunes, leaving us reviews, feedback, all that good stuff. Again, it angers us when we see really negative feedback, but we still appreciate it nonetheless. Any engagement is good engagement. So thank you to every single person out there who just took the time to watch or listen to it. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you to the gentleman in the room with me for this little fun conversation that we had. And we will be back with you next week, not for a live episode. I do apologize, but Mr. Ryno Clavin will be out of town. So we will have a pre-recorded episode of our first experience at Universal Mardi Gras. Which starts...
I said that wrong. I said that
No,
way
you
wrong.
didn't. You didn't. Laissez les bon temps rouler.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let the good times roll. We will be bringing you our coverage this Saturday night,
And who
February
gets the
4th.
most beads? Tune in.
Bees?
Bees.
Oh, okay.
Bees.
So, yeah, look forward to that this Saturday night. Follow us along. I'm sure we'll be going many times because of how they've changed the event. So look forward to that coverage next week. But, yes, we will be back with you next week for another episode. Hit that music. Resolution, gonna have to wait. Already over, so bye. Whoops.